Hello and welcome back to the Decluttered podcast. I am your host, Fallon Jordan, and today I am so delighted and excited to introduce you to Quinton Greene. And he is an iridologist, and I'm gonna let him explain what that is. But this is a divine appointment. I mean, I literally started reading the second I came outside, and I'm refusing to go back inside. So I'm probably gonna have to take off my glasses, but that's fine. Um, but yeah, just I mean, how we met and like all the things that led us here, just so divine. And if you've been following me for the last week or in one of my containers, I'm telling you that I'm literally just deferring my health stuff, my health clients to Quinton because when we met and he did my iridology exam and just hit me with all the knowledge, I was completely floored. So if I needed a couple weeks to integrate the things that he learned, like just know that your mind is about to be blown in all of the best ways. Thank you so much for being here, Quinton. And so definitely telling us what iridology is, but I think part of your journey of like what you used to do in your career and how it led you to where you are today is such a cool story. So if you kind of wanted to start there.
Yeah, for sure. Again, thanks for having me. So I struggled with chronic illness my entire life. From the time I was a child, I was actually diagnosed with pyloric stenosis as an infant, and then my earliest memories as a child were um, panic attacks, generalized anxiety. I didn't know how to verbalize that then. I didn't know quite what I was experiencing. I was labeled a worrier. Um, Along with that, I also had OCD. I had a speech impediment known as word blockage. I was chronically sick with nonstop viral and bacterial infections. So I came right into the world already struggling. So I understood suffering from a very early age. Um, with that, moving into my adolescent years, things didn't get much better for me. I dealt with more anxiety, more panic attacks. I developed, bad acne issues, and I was still getting sick all the time. Um, into eventually a diagnosis of mononucleosis. I got my Epstein-Barr virus there at 18 years old, and things really kind of spiraled out of control after that with a Lyme diagnosis, which many people think is from the bacteria of a tick. It's not. It's an Epstein-Barr virus related condition. Chronic fatigue, chronic pain issues, also getting into substance abuse and different addictive tendencies, which was kind of a response to never feeling well and being chronically ill. At that point, we were brought up, no fault of my parents, but we were brought up in the allopathic medicine world. We were taking, didn't feel well. We went to the doctors and we got a medication. I mean, I can't tell you how much antibiotics I was on in my childhood and adolescent years and through my 20s. Um, but ultimately, things really started to spiral out of control in my 20s with more advanced chronic illness. Migraines, TMJ, a new skin condition called tinea versicolor, GI issues. Things were really, really tough, and I kind of looked to the substance abuse and things of those, help me get through. That's exactly what I use it for, a chance to escape, how lousy I was feeling. Things kind of hit their breaking point at around 31, 32 when I had an accident working on my farm. I had a hay bale dropped on my head, and the result was a condition known as occipital neuralgia and severe neurological illness, where random weird neurological symptoms and things, eyelid flickering, sensitivity to light and sound, numbness, tingling, leg stiffening during sleep, increased anxiety, insomnia, more occipital migraine. So that's when I hit my rock bottom, and I looked at my life, and I looked at how much I had been suffering. And my whole life, I just thought, I was genetically predisposed to not feeling well and having this stuff. My mom dealt with some mental illness and different things, and I just thought I was a bad apple. I just thought my life was destined for suffering, and that's the way it was. And uh, my doctors told me that there was no healing. It was take this pill and deal with it. And at 32, something clicked in me. And I looked at my life and I said, what's the one constant my entire life? And it was conventional medicine. Not only was I not getting better, I was getting worse. And that's when I completely abandoned conventional medicine for the purposes of chronic illness. And I went down the rabbit hole of the alternative world, which was an absolute. It's an for many of you know, many of you are in the alternative trying to heal. It's a nightmare trying to figure out how to heal in the alternative world. And you've got functional doctors, alternative doctors, and homeopaths and holistic everyone's telling you something different. You don't know what to do, what to believe in. One person says something's right, and one person says something's wrong. Um, and the result was just more struggling, more suffering, till eventually God looked down and blessed me with getting the right sources of information. Which when I say the right sources of information, I'm talking about what's really causing my suffering. I looked back at my whole life, and I was able, when I started getting the right information, I was able to put together my entire life in terms of what illnesses I was dealing with, and put it together like a perfect puzzle. Everything made sense to me. And with that came the proper protocols needed to heal. And I started to get better. Uh, and then at 37, I kind of, for all intents and purposes, wrapped up my healing journey. I woke up one day uh, during the shutdown after about a 9-week cleanse. Everything was shut down, and I had nothing wrong with me anymore. I didn't have any symptoms for the first time in my life. I didn't have anxiety. I wasn't fatigued. I didn't have skin problems. My skin was cleared up, and my chronic pain was gone. And it took me about 2 to 3 weeks, almost a month, just to get used to not suffering with something. I was off all medication, and because that's all I knew. Um, so it took a while to get used to. Just it was a real shock to go through my day and not have anything wrong with me, and actually have abundant energy. My sleep was great. I was so happy, and everything was just it was really incredible. It's a beautiful thing. And with that, I decided, I said, I can help other people do what I just did over the course of 5 years, and maybe 25 to $30,000 later. I said, I could teach other people how to fast track their healing, a more efficient, more cost effective, in a more timely fashion. And that's what I set out to do at about 37, with no degrees, no certification, just my own healing testimonial, and a couple people that I was helping for free, which is with the promise of a testimonial. And that's how things started. Um, and I promised myself, I said I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't learn any, schooling until I found something that really resonated with me. And I thought I had it right. I did a holistic nutrition thing. I quit halfway through. Because the information was not correct. What they were teaching me was wrong. It's not how you heal. But in this world, people want you to have a degree or at least some kind of certification. So I stayed open to it, and eventually, through a naturopath, I found something that kind of resonated with me. It was the closest thing I could find to someone that had it right, in terms of schooling and getting a certification. And I went forward, and I was getting my certification as a regenerative detoxification specialist. And that's where I came across iridology. And once I saw iridology, I was immediately intrigued by it. And I was certified within 2 months as an iridologist after learning it. So those certifications both came in at the same time, and I'd already been healing people at that point. I was about 39 years old, 40 when I found that. So I'd already been healing people successfully. But uh, iridology ultimately helped me in getting my clients better faster, more effectively. I could target things. Um, and that's how I kind of came across it. So quick explanation of iridology for those of you who don't know. Um, Iridology is a technique used in the alternative world, mostly naturopaths, where you can analyze the iris of the eye, characteristics, patterns, colors, and I'm able to analyze these things in the iris and and determine with great accuracy what someone's systemic health is on a cellular level systemically. And when I say that, I can't see disease or cancer or conditions in someone, but what I can see is a weakening of tissue. I can see other things, but ultimately, the main thing I can see is a weakening of tissue, organs, glands, and body systems. And I can also tell by the hours what level of weakness that organ, gland, or body system is in, which is incredibly effective when you're trying to get someone healed up. Because iridology, basically everything that's happened in your body on a cellular level since the time we are conceived is relayed through the autonomic nervous system and displayed in the iris of the eye. It's actually a window into our insides. It's a God-given gift that he knew we would all need. And eventually, when we get to the point we're at now, where chronic illness is so prevalent, everyone's dealing with something. There's cancer in kids, there's disease, everyone's sick. Blood work, it's nice, but it misses a lot of things. Imaging, it's great. We're great with imaging, but it misses a lot of things. Even symptomology can be confusing sometimes. Iridology takes the guesswork out of all that. I can see things in the iris that blood work hasn't yet shown, that imaging isn't shown, and even symptomology hasn't yet shown. So I'm able to go in and target things in my client's body right off the bat, in conjunction with getting them detoxified and healed up. But it gives me the advantage, essentially. I can look right in and see where if there's an issue in the liver, in the thyroid, in the lymphatic system, in the kidneys, in the GI tract, whatever it is. I have a clear look right into it. That combined with a very detailed questionnaire on someone's symptomology, I can take those two things and really design an advanced healing program for someone with the right foods, the right herbs, the right supplements, and we get these people on them at the right times and the right combinations and the right amounts, and able to target those real weaknesses in their body. And the result was even quicker healing than I was already getting from my clients. My program is only 4 months long. That's all I need with someone to really get them straightened out to where they get a whole new life. And I'm very thankful for iridology, has helped me so much in terms of getting people healed up.
Amazing. So I think one of the biggest things I wanted you to expand on is the regenerative medicine piece, because that's one of the things that you shared to me that kind of blew my mind. Because a lot of people in my community, like they know that like the brain can have new connections, like the brain can repair, but I don't talk about, and a lot of people don't talk about your actual kidneys and livers regenerating. So if you could kind of go into the nerdy science of that.
Sure. Well, first of all, I did bring a chart here. This is a standard iridology chart. Just I forgot to mention this. Right eye, left eye. Right eye shows the right side of the body. Left eye shows the left side of the body. So everything is correlated here, in the iris to certain parts of the body, a bit closer for people to see
So
kind of how that
cool.
works. So once I get in here and see, then the idea is always the same. I have to go in and detoxify this individual and regenerate tissue in their body. I'm a regenerative detoxification specialist. Uh, Medical science certainly doesn't embrace this, and a lot of alternative isn't aware of this either. The body has an innate ability to detoxify itself and to regenerate tissue. And I don't care where you're talking about in the body, it doesn't matter. And that's what I do, and that's what we do with regenerative detoxification. I go in and we pinpoint the areas that are really problematic, and we spend a little attention there. But generally, God made our bodies with these incredible natural healing mechanisms that involve detoxification and regeneration that we all exist. The problem is no one knows how to activate those natural healing mechanisms. Let alone believe the fact that you can go in and pull like a piece of mercury out of someone's brain, and then go into that brain tissue that had been weakened, that had been inflamed from that oxidative runoff from that piece of mercury, and regenerate that tissue, bring it back up to strength. So I'm always telling my clients, clean and strengthen, clean and strengthen. We're going to clean tissue, and then we're going to strengthen tissue. And then this really goes back to what the root cause of all chronic illness, disease, and cancer is. We've been told for a long time now that Our genes were a problem. We were genetically predisposed to things. It was one of the first things back in the 50s and 60s that medical science kind of hung their hat on, along with the industries. And what that did, blaming our genes because they didn't really know what was causing something, it kept the blame on us and our faulty bodies, our faulty genetics. That was amplified with the autoimmune theory and hormones as well, by the way, for women. Uh, Medical science hung their hat on, just blame it on the hormones, blame it on the woman's hormones. Her hormones are fouled up. That's why she's not feeling well. And then now the autoimmune theory is so prevalent. Let's just tell people that their immune systems have made a mistake and they're essentially attacking healthy tissue in their body mistakenly. And all three of those things, you know, they keep the blame on us and our faulty bodies and away from the industries and medical science who are truly responsible for why we're sick. And that brings me to why we're sick. It's not because of genes. Our immune systems will never turn on our bodies. We'll never, ever do that. It's crazy to think that in the last 50 years, everyone's autoimmune now. Like what happened in the last 50 years where, everyone's, you're attacking your own thyroid. That's nonsense. And God would never create our bodies that way. When we get down to the root cause of chronic illness, we got a couple major players. Number one, toxins. Most of the people are aware of that. Toxic heavy metals being the number one, and pesticides, especially DDT pesticide being number two. But we also have petrochemicals and solvents and microplastics. So we have so many different toxins in us that get into areas, certain toxins like different areas. Metals love the brain, your true cause of ADHD and autism, Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's. These are all toxic heavy metals in different parts of the brain. So toxins are a huge problem, getting in different areas of the body. Number two, there's been a pathogenic viruses and bacteria, most notably Epstein-Barr virus, along with its herpetic virus counterparts, shingles, non-rashing shingles, human herpes viruses. So there's been a viral explosion and there's been a bacterial explosion, namely Streptococcus bacteria. There's over 65 strains of EBV now. There's over 50 subgroups of strep now. So these bacteria and viruses, these pathogens are really wreaking havoc in our bodies. They're in all of our soft tissue. And like toxins, they have no technology yet to detect an Epstein-Barr virus drilling in someone's thyroid wall, creating viral neurotoxins, inflaming that thyroid tissue, getting that person a Hashimoto's thyroiditis diagnosis or a hyper or thyroid cancer. We're simply told we're autoimmune, or faulty thyroid. But we have a virus in there. They lack the technology to see it. Same thing with something like mercury in the brain. They have no technology to go in there and really see mercury in that midline canal of that child's brain who's autistic, and that aluminum in there as well with that mercury. So there's a lack of technology. And let me tell you, they don't want the technology right now.
Right.
There's young, brilliant doctors who come into the medical field every year and see, for example, every woman who is diagnosed with breast cancer will show past infection of Epstein-Barr virus or current infection. Same thing with the thyroid. Every person with rheumatoid arthritis will show past infection of Epstein-Barr virus. Every person with IBS has Streptococcus bacteria in that GI tract, or celiac. True cause of celiac is strep. They simply lack the technology to see these things. Therefore, they keep the blame on us that way because they don't want that technology to exist. So when young, brilliant doctors who have ambitions of going into medical school and helping people heal, when they apply for this funding to get technology made, when they see these links between things, they're like, let's get some technology here to check this person's thyroid out and see if something else has happened here. Maybe this virus is present. They get red flags and stop signs. The people who are funding these studies, they don't want any of that stuff to come out because they make a tremendous amount of money off of us being sick. And let me tell you, the most important thing when healing, I tell my clients, you can't heal without the right information. Once you have the right information and know what's causing something, the true cause of something, your chances of healing from it compound exponentially. you have to know what's causing things. And most people are walking around, they have no idea what's causing their symptoms. They think they have bad genes, they think they're autoimmune, they think they got hormones that are fouled up, and there's some other things in there. So it's really sad what's taking place there. But it's my job, and thank God I'm so lucky to have been blessed to get the right information about what's actually causing. You can give me any condition, symptom, or I can tell you exactly what's causing it. With great detail. So being able to have that information and get it to my clients, that empowers them. And then we go in with the right protocols, the right foods and herbs and supplements, and the ones that have true detoxification power. We'll go into that tissue. We can extract and knock out whatever is in there, whether it be pathogens, whether it be toxins. Also, I didn't mention radiation is still a huge problem that flies under the radar. Really, weakening people's immune systems and really involve people have radiation all through their body. So these true troublemakers, they're all things that got into us that weren't meant to be in us. And who's responsible? Generally, the industries. Most of this stuff started with the Industrial Revolution when we started playing around with chemicals, and people were putting sunscreens on for the first time. They're wearing perfumes and colognes. They're putting dyes in. They're eating food that has more chemicals in it and poisonous stuff. So basically, everyone is sick in the world today because we have a whole bunch of things that don't belong in our body in there. Our bodies are just fine in terms of our genetic strength and our immune system, what it wants to do. That hasn't been compromised. But that's what everyone's dealing with right now. Our bodies are so toxic and so packed with junk, and it's not just stuff that we pick up living life. Mom and dad pass down their troublemaker loads. They pass down their toxin loads. They pass down their pathogens. It looks like a genetic thing. I understand that, but that's not how it works. So this is what's happening in the world right now. Everyone's walking around filled with junk, and I just know how to get it out. That's why I'm so successful with this. When my clients have such great success, it's very simple though. I'm not a rocket scientist. I just know how the body works in terms of chronic illness and the ability of the body to detoxify itself and start to regenerate tissue, which is the other aspect of it. Some of these amazing healing foods and herbs, not so much the supplements, because most of these supplements are lab made, synthetically made. They don't have true healing power. They're great at filling in for symptoms and deficiencies in our body, but take away a lot of these synthetic supplements and the same problem still exists. Honestly, it's the food and the herbs that have the real regenerative power to regenerate tissue in our body so we're constantly detoxifying, regenerating, cleaning, strengthening tissue. The result is healing every single time. And I don't care what disease or illness you're talking about, that stands true for all of it. So long-winded answer, but people need that information. They don't know that. So, if you're struggling, you can heal. I don't care what you have going on, unless, of course, we're talking late stage cancer and disease, which sometimes things are too progressed, and the person that's just not their destiny anymore because things have gone too far. Anything else? I mean, I haven't seen anything yet that someone can't heal from.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm sure everyone's like, oh, just keep talking. We can listen to you all day because this is information that nobody else is sharing. I mean, I've had
I could keep going. I could, but I'll stop now.
Well, I wanted to see if you had my iridology stuff close and if you wanted to talk about that.
Your iridology?
Yeah.
I don't have it right on me, but I mean, I can, we can certainly go back over it. Actually, your eyes are on my phone right now,
I was gonna
so
say,
I'm unable to. And I can't see that close, but and look. I'm going to be honest with you. I see so many eyes and deal with so many people. I have so much in my brain, and I forget sometimes what someone's iris actually looked like and what they're actually dealing with because I just deal with so much of it. But I know with your eye, it certainly showed plenty of weakness. I think we for sure saw some lymphatic issues in you.
Yeah.
Your lymphatic system was certainly agglomerated and backed up. You were in a state of chronic acidosis. That lymphatic system was backed up, which goes to your kidneys. Your kidneys are your main lymphatic, your main eliminative organ. your kidney and urine. The main way your lymphatic system gets rid of your cellular and metabolic waste, all the acids in you go through that. And then secondly, they go through the skin and sweat, which is, in Chinese medicine, the skin is known as the third kidney. So in your situation, I think we noticed that too, because your eye color changes over the years. People don't know this, but the reason eye color changes, is based off the state of that person's lymphatic system. And we saw that in you. There is no such thing as hazel eyes. Yeah, they can be hazel, but that's a blue eye. And 99% of people who have hazel eyes, if they go back and ask their parents, and they were born with blue eyes and generally spent the first couple of years of their life with blue eyes. Now, some children are so lymphatically agglomerated upon arrival into this world because mom and dad are so lymphatically agglomerated that some children now are being born with greenish, yellowish, hazel type eyes. But in womb, it was probably meant to be a blue eye. Their eyes get really, really dark, almost black when their lymphatic system gets really backed up. So eye color changes are based off the state of that person's lymphatic system all the time. Eyes just don't change on their own accord in that way. And the different characteristics and patterns we saw in your eyes, which are evident of the actual, tissue in your body, organs and glands, they show up as what we know as lacuna in the iris, is black kind of spots and holes, and the deeper that hole is, the more higher level weakness that person's tissue is at, wherever it coordinates in the iris to what organ or gland we're talking about. So your case, though, lymphatically backed up, need to get you moving, and that liver, I think, was an issue too, and getting your liver cleaned up, which really goes hand in hand with the lymphatic system. If we're talking about, the most important body system when it comes to chronic illness, I'm going to lean on the lymphatic system. And the most important organ when it comes to chronic illness, I'm going to lean on that liver. And those kidneys are a close second. So you had problems in those areas. And look, the nice thing is they're easily fixed when you start doing the right things.
So one of the things that you said that blew my mind was that, like, you explained to me why when I get massages and even sometimes doing yoga, like I literally feel like worse after. Can you explain that?
Well, sure. I mean, everyone's all into lymphatic drainage,
Yeah.
and let's do lymphatic massage and let's do rebounding and this and that for the
Yeah.
lymph system. And people want to go after their lymph system and start pulling on that lymph when they have no eliminative pathways opened up. So you can get a lymphatic massage and you can move that junk around in your lymphatic system all you want. If it doesn't have a way out, if your kidneys are not filtering properly, and you're not able to remove through your kidney your lymphatic waste, that stuff's generally staying in the body. Maybe you're lucky and you're getting in a sauna every day and you can sweat some and get a little bit out, but that's not the most efficient way to get lymphatic waste, which is your acids, out of your body effectively. So oftentimes people end up doing lymphatic stuff and feeling worse, because all they do is move that lymph around, but they can't get it out of the body effectively because their kidneys are not functioning well. That doesn't mean you have to have kidney stones or kidney disease. Let me tell you, everyone's got banged up kidneys. We bang up our kidneys on the high fat, high protein diets. We've got pathogens in them and toxins, and they don't do their job well in terms of filtering out in your urine your lymphatic waste. And by the way, a great way to tell for anyone out there, if your kidneys are filtering well, wake up in the morning. If there's a chance they're filtering, it's going to be first thing in the morning. Urinate into a jar and you look for sediment in that jar. If you see completely clear urine, which is what medical science tells you is good, your kidneys are not filtering. You should see sediment, actual particles, white sediment floating all around your urine. And if you let it sit there, you should see it settle on the bottom of the jar, and you'll have a pile of almost a white little mountain pile of sediment on the bottom of that jar. That's when your kidneys are filtering. That's when your lymphatic system is moving effectively. And most people walking around this world, I'd say 95%, have no kidney filtration whatsoever. They are backed up. They'll have completely clear urine. So that's what we do with my clients. And we go after kidney filtration. I want to see sediment in their urines to know that their lymphatic systems are moving. And by the way, we talk about the lymphatic system, how critical it is in chronic illness. When I talk about toxins and pesticides and pathogens and all those things, they thrive in that acidic backed up, agglomerated environment that happens when your lymphatic system is backed up. People are walking around in what we know as chronic acidosis. You're backed up. Your lymphatic system is your own sewer system. So when that sewer system gets backed up in their own acids, your whole body becomes acidic, and it means you're chronically dehydrated. The flow of energy in your body is being compromised. So when we talk about all these troublemakers that get into our body, they thrive in that environment. No person that deals with any chronic illness, disease, or cancer is not in a state of chronic acidosis because their lymphatic systems have failed to do the job properly and things are backed up in them.
I feel like that's one of the few things that there are people coming out and talking about is that the acidosis and how that relates specifically to cancer. But again, like one of the things that you taught me that was so profound is like, I mean, it's related to like everything, right? Like anything with illness.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's two sides. Anywhere you look in life, there's two sides to life. You've got your acid side of life, and you have your base side, which is your alkaline. Anywhere you look in any organism, any in this on this earth, we've got two sides to chemistry. When you're on the acid side of life, that is where things go to die. That is where you have agglomeration. That's where things get backed up. You have uh, destruction of tissue. That's where you have a chronic dehydration. You know, things go when you're on the acid side of life. That's where things die. Then we have our base side of life, which is the alkaline side of life, and that's where life thrives. That's where you have hydration, oxygen, comes into that organism. That's where you have the regeneration of tissue occurs. There's no regeneration of tissue when you're on the acid side of life. So life does really well and thrives, and the human body is meant to be on the alkaline side of life. Everyone is living on the acid side of life, so they're setting themselves up. They've set the terrain, the environment in their body. They've made it conducive for all these troublemakers we're being exposed to do very well in our body. They make themselves right at home. So one of the big ways that we get people healed up, in terms of a pathogen, obviously we have to attack the pathogen, we have to starve the pathogen, but we have to change the environment that pathogen is doing so well in. And that's where it comes to getting us out of acidosis. And it's everything to do with our lymphatic systems when it comes to that.
So another thing that was like mind blowing was you said that you were a fan of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, but not hydrogen water. Can you talk about that?
Well, people don't realize those little hydrogen water machines that pumps toxic heavy metals into their water. They
Man.
won't know. They won't know that for a while. That's advanced information, though. But when you hit that button and you're putting that hydrogen into your water, uh, there's toxic heavy metals leaching into that water. You're better off with just a good high quality, uh, clean spring water, filtered water, in some kind of glass jar. Don't put the hydrogen in your water. You're putting toxic heavy metals in the water. Those metals are going right to your brain. There's another one of those trendy things out there. There's so many trendy, hacks. These biohacks, they drive me crazy. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They have no idea what they're doing. And ultimately, it's feeding chronic illness in their body. And that hydrogen water is just another one, along with things like cold plunging and all these different things people are doing. Just wild to me. Breath work. That's another one I can't get behind. Not good for the person with real chronic illness and neurological stuff to practice the intense breath work. So
Well, thank you for saying that because I mean, I've done a lot of hard stuff and like psychological healing stuff. And breath work was always so difficult. And because of the way that you've explained what's going on in my body, it makes sense. But again, like I'm sure someone's listening, like, oh my God, like what I guess I do like own that I feel like shit after a lymphatic drainage, or I tried the hydrogen water, it wasn't working. Um,
yeah,
so I guess we would like to hear what you're into, and I know you're into red light therapy. So if you wanted to talk about that and then anything else that you're a
yeah.
fan of.
Well, just to elaborate a little bit on breath work, that deprivation of oxygen, that practice, that might be okay for someone that's not dealing with anything. But let's be honest, how many people are really not dealing with anything these days?
Yeah.
Um, Cold plunging, that's a bad one. Cold plunging is a nightmare for our adrenal glands. It really
Mm,
whacks the adrenals. The body can't differentiate between falling through ice into cold water and getting in an ice bath. The adrenals respond the same way in fight or flight, and they release adrenaline and cortisol. That's the last thing human needs now is more adrenaline coursing through your body. It's tough on the adrenals, and a lot of people will tell you they didn't feel good after they did their first ice bath. They got headaches. They didn't feel well. I hear it all the time. A lot of people don't do well with it. So just be careful with all these trendy things. Don't force yourself to think something's good for you when it doesn't resonate with you, doesn't make you feel that great. Stop doing it. It's not how you're going to heal. But some things I do like, first and foremost, I like the sauna. I don't like overdoing a sauna, but if you could, even better, if you could have an infrared sauna, even better. We need the sweat, because most people's kidneys are down, so they're not getting their waste out through the urine and the kidneys. The least they could be doing is sweating. And look, most people's skin's backed up too. I see skin right in the iris as well, and a lot of people are dealing with underactive, skin that's not moving stuff in and out of it properly. Doesn't mean you have to have acne or eczema or psoriasis. You could still have a backed up agglomerated skin that's not moving stuff in and out of it properly, especially women. They tend to put more things on their skin. But I really like the sauna. I try to get in at least 6 days a week. Don't overdo it though. Again, just like a cold plunge, too much extreme heat for too long can be counterproductive. So get in, get a good sweat going, and get yourself out of there. Number two, I know this is cliche, but it's nature. It's sunlight. It's being outside. It's being in the trees and out and grounding yourself. And they take your shoes off. Go out and be in nature. Go out and let that sunlight hit your face and let your eyes get exposed to it. Breathe in that air. So I all my clients, when we're usually doing other things for them, I want them all getting outside. I want them doing nice walks. You don't have to run. You don't have to get outside. Go breathe in the fresh air. Practice your breathing. I'm breath work, but work on good deep breaths. Ground yourself. So get outside in nature. It is so conducive to healing when you're on a good detox program. I love that for anyone being outside. Number three, and this could arguably be number one, it's faith. My clients that have a strong connection with God, with their God, I don't care which, whatever one they subscribe to, tend to always heal faster. They're always more successful. So working on your faith, working on your relationship with your God, with the divine, I can't say enough about that. Me as a devout practicing Christian, it's done wonders for me in terms of healing. It's just so helpful when you're trying to get yourself out of chronic illness. So those three things I certainly like, all based around a true detoxification program. Number one in healing is always how you're fueling your body. It's the foods and the herbs. It's what you're putting into your body. And what you're not putting into your body is always most critical when you're trying to heal from something. All the other stuff, I tell my clients, like, well, I do meditation and I'm at the chiropractor and I get massage and I'm doing this and that. I'm in the sauna. None of those things work. I tell people, look, you can't, you could do all the meditation you want. That's not going to pull a piece of metal out of your brain that's contributing to your migraines or your ADHD. It's not going to knock back a virus, an Epstein-Barr virus sitting in your liver, contributing to your anxiety disorder, as it creates neurotoxins, inflaming your vagus nerve. All these practices are great, but they don't have the ability to detoxify a body like that. So I like all these other therapies and treatments and all these different things with the detoxification of the body with diet being most important, always being most important, along with faith, being right up there.
Well, and like you said, I mean, God has made us perfectly for a reason. We've just been conditioned to think all this other very limiting stuff. So I think that's really amazing. And I wanted to go back to the word detox because I know you have some thoughts on what that means in the mainstream and how it's unrelated to what you actually do for your clients.
Can you elaborate on that? I'm not quite sure I understand.
Like define detox in your definition versus like what people think it is.
Well, detox is the ability to go into tissue and remove what does not belong there. This could be any tissue in your body. And when you start bringing the right foods, the right herbs, and some subs, the ability of the body, when you activate your body's natural healing mechanisms, it wants to get rid of anything that doesn't belong in there. Let me tell you, when I'm detoxing my clients, they have stuff coming out all over. Like the body will detoxify, and you got stuff coming out your nose. You're in the bathroom a lot, stuff through your skin. There's all different things that will come out of your body. The body will get rid of anything it does not want. And that's true detoxification. That's the beauty of our body, how God designed us. Something bad, you breathe through something bad. The body has the ability to go in and get rid of that for you. So that is true detoxification. And that's where I put my focus on. That is the true basis for any healing is detoxification of the body.
Amazing. And then parasites. So we talk a lot about parasites as far as like energetic parasites, especially right now. The spiritual warfare is like at an all-time high versus parasites in the body. Could you elaborate on that? Because I think, again, people just think they can get rid of parasites by taking one supplement and like everything's going to be fine when that's like not the case.
So I'll tell you this: parasites are way down on my list of things I'm worried about when a client comes to me. Can parasites cause some problems? Sure, absolutely. You get in the gut and cause some issues. You get in different areas of the body. Uh, Parasites don't hold a candle to some of those true troublemakers I spoke about, like the toxic heavy metals, like something like Epstein-Barr virus, like strep bacteria, like radiation. Those things are far more involved in why the human race is not feeling well now than parasites are. Um, do we pull some parasites out of my clients? Absolutely. Of course, we get parasites out, and they're pretty prevalent in some people. But again, that's one of those trendy things right now that everyone's on. By the way, parasites have nothing to do with cancer. Absolutely nothing.
Mm,
Does a person who have cancer probably have some parasites? Sure. Is it helpful? No, but that's not the true cause of cancer. That's viruses feeding off of toxins. Oh, that's all your cancer. So, um, look, we've seen so many health fads come and go over the years and trendy things. And you look back to 10 years ago, what was in and what was popular, everyone's saying they no longer exist. So and parasites are going, it's just what's trendy right now. But it's not a lot of people's issues, even though they are present and not helpful.
totally. Amazing. I'm sure everyone's like, I need to rewind, listen to this
Well, a lot of
again.
people are probably like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh,
All right.
hell no. We don't
I'm
allow
just
that
telling you.
energy
I mean, look,
here, Mr. Quinton.
everyone is sold on this parasite thing right now. It's unbelievable. Like, Quentin, can I do a parasite cleanse? Parasite cleanse. I'm not worried about. I'm going to detox your whole body. Parasites will come out along the way. Like, you need to be worried about pulling metal out of your brain.
Hmm.
You need to be worried about a viral, an Epstein-Barr virus out of your thyroid, or a non-rationing shingles virus in your colon causing your colitis. Or a human herpes virus. These are the true problems that I'm worried about. I'm not worried about detoxing someone from parasites. That just happens when you detoxify properly.
Yeah,
Naturally, they'll come out. A couple good herbs for them, a couple good foods for them, sure. But they're all part of healing.
totally. So I loved what you shared about it's not genetic, it's the troublemakers from both parents. And when we met in person, like you went kind of deep into what that means and how it's like mostly on the mother. And that was kind of like a huge wake up call for me because like I would want to have like the healthiest, happiest child on the planet. And it's like my job to prepare my physical energy body for that. Can you talk a little bit more about like man, woman, troublemakers, making a baby and like
Sure.
what that means?
Sure. And look, this is how the gene blame game came into effect.
Mm-hmm.
Medical science looked at this and they were like, well, back in the 50s, and they were like, this is great. They were like, yeah, we have a way, because we don't know what's causing, the first cases of chronic fatigue in women coming out in the 1940s, and these different things and people getting their first migraine, medical science look and say, well, this is it looks like this is running in a family, because I get it. It looks that way. You have
Hmm.
certain things running in family lines, inheritance of faulty genes. Well, let me tell you something. Uh, Genes do not carry chronic illness. Holistic practitioners have this wrong. They believe in epigenetics. I am not a believer in epigenetics. Our genes are not influenced by genes. Give us how we look and other characteristics and things of that nature. Genes aren't the reason, aren't responsible for why we are having chronic illnesses and diseases running family lines. That is the passing down of the true causes, which are troublemakers, pathogens, toxins, different things of that nature being passed down from mom and dad. So here's what happens. Uh, two young people looking to have their first child, you know, uh, mom's got a little chronic fatigue. She deals with some migraines and she's a little overweight. Three symptoms. By the way, being overweight is a symptom. That's a symptom that your liver is not doing its job properly and it's sluggish and stagnant. So she's got three different symptoms, conditions that she's struggling with. Dad comes in. Dad's got some chronic pain. He's got a little bit of high blood pressure, and say maybe some eczema or something. I don't know. They go to the doctor. Say, look, let's have a baby, and then the doctor looks at them and says, well, these are all normal things. Just go have a baby. No big deal. Uh, you couldn't get worse advice. When the advice should be, hey, mom, hey, dad, how about you go detoxify yourself for 6 months to a year, get yourselves cleaned up, knock back your pathogen loads, detoxify your bodies, get your lymphatic systems moving, get your kidneys opened up, get your liver cleaned out, then go have a baby. What a world of difference it makes bringing a child into the world. Obviously, it's very important to what mom is doing as well while she's pregnant, but the work needs to start before conceiving. You have to mom and dad have to get themselves cleaned up properly. And boy, let me tell you, I see this with people now who are doing it. They're bringing much healthier babies into this world, because they're getting themselves ready. And whatever they had going on, they get better on their own, and the child doesn't have to deal with it. So it's so backed up, backwards with how this is working. And sick people keep having sick people, and every generation's getting sicker because no one knows how to detoxify themselves. No one's being told before they bring new life into the world, hey, get yourself healed up and cleaned up, so you have a better chance at bringing a healthy baby into this world. It's really backwards, and that's what the evil, powers to be here want to be happening. They love sick kids. Sick kids are a lifelong, moneymaker for these industries
Hmm.
and the medical establishment and big pharma. So they don't want parents to know that, because they want sick people. So a lot of evil, that we talk about the spiritual warfare and the devil. He's involved in all this stuff and keeping people sick. And but people don't have that information. So if you want to have a baby, get yourself healed up, get yourself detoxified, then go have a baby.
Absolutely. So, how do you navigate? Like, what are some of your practices or things you do for your mindset, affirmations, whatever, that help you with the spiritual warfare stuff, especially someone who is the best health expert we've ever known, all of us that are listening?
Oh, no, no. I look, for me, it's all about God. It's all about Jesus for me. That I'm a Christian. I'm going to church. I'm praying. I'm in the Bible. That's what does it for me. That's most important and will always be most important. Um, God blessed me. First of all, God made me suffer for a long time. He didn't make me sick, but that was what my life was. And I see now that there was a reason for that. No client could ever come to me and tell me I don't know what it's like to suffer.
Hmm.
And for many years, I lost God and I cursed God when I was suffering with chronic illness and substance abuse. I'm sick my whole life, and I was very angry at times. Looking back on it now, it was God's plan. It was all by design, to get me ready for my true calling, and it was God who got me the right information about what's really causing these things, and the right protocols to heal it. I use God's healing foods and herbs, to get my clients better. So for me, That's number one, and it will always be. And so, hence, I encourage anyone when they're trying to heal, you know, get with your God and practice your faith, strengthen your faith up, and it will serve you very well in your healing journey.
Beautifully said. We love that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put in Quinton's Instagram below. That's the easiest, fastest way to get a hold of him, learn more about what he does, see all of his amazing testimonials. And I mean, I love before and afters because I just love to see people looking better. But it's funny because, yes, their skin looks better. Yes, they're glowing, but their eyes are different. And like some of your clients, you've even done before and after eye pictures. And just so you guys know, too, there's a very specific way to take the picture of your eyes for the exam with Quinton. It's not like you can just like snapshot a selfie. But
I
the
will
befores
send
and
them.
after those is amazing.
Yeah, I send anyone where you're in the country. If you want an iridology analysis, I send you directions on how to take an iris photo. You could do it with your cell phone. They take great pictures. All I need to see, is your iris, and I can do an analysis from wherever you are in the world for an iridology analysis. And it's the one thing I recommend anyone, even if you have no intention of working with me on a healing program. That's fine. If you want to get an iridology analysis, at least you have the information. And that iridology analysis, it's an in-depth health consult too. I'll get you your answers to what's really causing your symptoms down to a T. And that way, at least you're equipped with the right information. And if you want to try to heal on your own or whatever, you want to do or hire someone, at least you know what's causing something. And that's half the battle when it comes to healing. You got to be equipped with the right information to pull yourself out of whatever suffering you're enduring.
Well, and it's funny, again, like the spiritual warfare part, right? Like you were going through my iridology and you're like, oh, it looks like you have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom. And I'm like, I don't have that one. And since I've seen you, I have had those symptoms that I didn't think I had before. And it's like a total God thing. It's like, nope, we didn't want you to know this. We didn't want you to have this symptom because then you would really know that something's wrong. Yes, you're having extra weight. It's fine. Like you're doing the self-love work. But when you have all these other symptoms hitting you, causing you to wake up in the middle of the night feeling like someone's stabbing you in the head with a migraine, it's like, oh, so like, again, when you say yes, like you said yes to opting into this episode, right? Like you're opting in by just taking the photo. You're opting in if you send it to Quinton. Like a lot of things that might be hidden behind the scenes that your subconscious or dark energy or whatever word you want to use was not allowing to come to light is coming to light. And for me, as such, my brand used to be pre-Quinton, like prevention, prevention, prevention. And it's like you pointed out so many symptoms that were actually there. They just weren't actually coming out until I opted in and said, okay, like this makes sense. This is the thing I want to do. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, as we close things up here, look, we are taught from the time we're children to accept what we deal with symptom-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And we have normalized not feeling well. We normalize, that occasional headache, that seasonal allergy, that ache and pain. We normalize that little bit of fatigue that we deal with in the mid to late afternoon. That's not normal. And stop normalizing it because God didn't design us to suffer, in terms of our physical health. We're designed to be healthy and happy and not have some of this stuff. And medical science has normalized it for us because they make so much money off of it. So I have people that come to me like, I don't really have anything wrong with me. By the time we're done the iridology analysis and consult, we've agreed on they have 6 or 7 different things that lower their quality of life. And it's like, do you still think, you're doing fine? They're like, you know what? I just brushed it under the rug. I wasn't aware of it. I've suppressed it. Demonic forces suppressing and want you to not feel well. And they work to make us accept, not feeling well. And you can't continue to accept it any longer. There's a whole new life for you. I don't care what you're dealing with. You can heal. Your body wants to heal. It will heal. And I can certainly show you how it will heal. So yeah, it's such a sad state of affairs when it comes to that. It really aggravates me that's the way it is. And when people come to me that say, I feel, and by the way, you only feel as good as you know.
Mhm.
I have people who've generally not dealt with that much who did my program. They were like, Quinton, I thought I felt good. I did not. Like, I feel so much better now. And they weren't dealing with a whole lot, but and generally they felt that they thought that they felt good and they end up feeling so much better. They're like, wow, I didn't know life was meant to be like this. That's the power of detoxification of your body, and what happens when you start to regenerate tissue and get yourself cleaned out. The body responds real well. You should be very happy and sleep great and have great energy. And your mood should always be good. And I'm like, you shouldn't have these things. So that's the way life's meant to be lived.
Amazing. Beautiful closing words. So definitely get into Quinton's world. Again, I'll put the Instagram link below for you guys. Just get in his world. It's a beautiful and fun place to be. And obviously, when I start his program, I'm going to be posting about it on my stories and stuff to keep you guys
Yes,
updated.
we need to get you started. It's time.
Yeah, it's very much time. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, I tell people, look, you got to stop waiting for things to be perfect in your life to embark on a healing journey. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to find stuff in life, reasons not to embark on a true healing journey.
Hmm.
Um, Things are always going to pop. Life is crazy right now. What this world throws at us is never going to stop. The situation's never going to be perfect for you to embark on a healing journey and put the focus on yourself, take it away from everything else and put it on yourself and your health. Moms, especially, you know, I tell moms, like, well, it's all about my kids. I'm like, look, your kid needs you healthy more than anything.
Right.
Like, you being happy and healthy, like, the child recognizes when the parents aren't feeling well. The best thing a parent can do is get themselves healed up. They become better parents, and it's they become better people in general. They can live longer and be happier for their children. So I tell people, you know, now is the time to heal. Like, life is short. Stop suffering, stop accepting a low quality of life, and focus on getting yourself detoxified. And I'm telling you, it's the best decision someone can ever make is to get themselves healed up.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We are so grateful. This was amazing. And like I said, I will keep you guys posted on my journey with Quinton's program. I'm so excited to start it. And we're sending you so much love. Bye for now.